Hey art nerds, so I am preparing to fly out to Louisiana and I wanted to bring some brushes to share with the class, the workshop I'm doing, because I'm doing an inking workshop. And I've had these brush tubes for a really long time and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to put these to the test. So brush tubes are pretty simple. They are a plastic tube with a rubber cap, and those of you who might be knowledgeable about the floral industry, you'll recognize these. These are used for like boutonnieres, for flower arrangements where you might stick, say, a single rose in them. These are really designed to keep your brushes wet until you can clean them, so it's probably for acrylic artists or for oil painters, but I thought these would be great for protecting my delicate inking brushes. Now, usually what I will do is I might make a paper sleeve, or I might leave the plastic cap on them, but that hasn't always worked so well in the past. So the thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clean out my brushes, and I'll condition them when I get into luling, but I'm going to clean them and then I'm going to work a lot of brush soap into the nib, forming a really nice point. Then I'm going to take this off and insert it going this way. Now I want to allow my brushes to dry overnight, but I thought it might be easy if I just went ahead and did the rubber caps. So I'm going to do that for all of my brushes and allow them to dry overnight. Alright, so I've run into my first problem. If your brushes, like this one here, if they're too large to fit through the cap, then it's just not happening. So this hasn't been split apart. I'm sure you could split it, but it's pretty tough right now. You could use scissors or maybe a knife to split it, but as it stands, this will not fit on this brush. So any larger brushes that you might want to protect, like this one might actually work, because it has a real, yeah. Okay, so they need to have a pretty gradual taper. So it can't be anything with too blunt an end. I'm not going to cut that because this is just a synthetic brush. It's not actually that valuable. So anyway, I just thought it was worth pointing out. Alright, so I have allowed these to dry with soap in them overnight, so they are fairly stiff. Now I'm just going to use the brush tubes to sort of protect them against travel. Now hopefully they're not going to just get like jammed up against the top. That would ruin my brushes. And then I fly out tomorrow, so I'll check in with you guys when I'm in luling and we can see whether the brush tubes protected them in transit. Now, this is not the designated use for brush tubes. They are meant to keep your brushes wet, like if you have oils on them or inks on them, just until you can get them properly cleaned. I think that's a really clever idea. I just wanted to see if they could also be used to protect your brushes in transit. Alright, so now we have a bouquet of brush tubes. I'll see you guys in luling. So I am also bringing some watercolor brushes with me when I go to Walmart. Oh, luling, not Walmart. I'm sure I'll go to Walmart, but luling, not Walmart. And usually when I travel, I use one of these inexpensive, fairly, can I zoom out now? Fairly rigid bamboo rolls to hold my brushes, and I have them in a couple of sizes. So I think for extra protection, because inking brushes are expensive, and to make sure the tubes don't get jammed onto my brushes, I'm going to store them in this long roll. So, there you see that. And then very largely big sushi roll that up, and then I'm going to store my smaller watercolor brushes in this roll, and I'm not going to do anything to protect them, partially just to kind of see whether or not the combination of the brush tubes and the brush soap helps protect it. Usually when I travel like this, I will put brush soap in and allow it to dry, and then roll them up like that. And it works, but you know, kind of what's the point of having a brush roll if you have to go to all those extra precautions? And if I was only going for a couple of days, I would not even bother. But I'm going to be there for 2 weeks. And I have some classes to teach. Alright, these are the other brushes I'm going to bring with me to Luling. It's kind of a mishmash collection. Some are a little bit too large even for this roll-up, but that's okay. Some are synthetics. Some are natural hair. These are fairly cheap, fairly easy to get a hold of. I like these in particular because the bamboo is rigid and it protects the brushes in the roll pretty well. Don't want to knot it, but I guess I don't really have room not to knot it. Anyway, I'll tie it off and I'll see you guys in Luling. Hey guys, I am in Luling, Louisiana. Tomorrow is my inking workshop, so it is time to see how well the Brush Tubz protected my favorite inking brushes, and to wash out the brush soap that we put in to help keep them supported. So, you guys remember I had them in a bamboo roll, and we have these caps on our brushes to help protect in transit. It looks like none of them got smashed, none of them really got damaged, so that's good. Now I'm going to just...
Is that a new product?
It's been around for a while. It's the first time I've gotten them. No, I've had them for a while, and it's the first time I've gotten around to reviewing them. A lot of I teach a lot of inking workshops. It's a popular topic that I teach, and I got kind of tired of my brushes getting damaged in transit. So I have brush soap in these to help keep them stiff. I'm just going to use, you want to use cold water, not hot. I'm just going to rinse that out to help prepare for tomorrow's class. And then I'm going to put the brush tubes back on just so that they're safe in transit. But so that is not what brush tubs or tubes are designed to do. They're actually designed to keep the paint on your brushes wet until you can get to like some brush soap. So if you were an acrylic painter or an oil painter, they would keep the paint in your brushes wet until you could get to a proper place to clean them. But as a watercolor artist and as a comic inker, I thought this might be a better use for them. So they seem to work quite well. And I'm just going to recap them the same way I did before.
So they stay wet?
Well, I do want them to kind of dry out, because if you let them stay wet, they're going to mold or mildew. So I can get them started, let them dry overnight, and then
you don't use a towel or anything to dry them?
No, because they need to air dry. You want them to maintain kind of the point they have.
Uh-huh.
And if you use a towel, it's like when you towel a little kid's hair, it gets all
if you rub it,
tousled.
But if you don't rub it, you just mash it up against the towel.
I mean, letting them air dry like this, where I have the caps kind of keeping them elevated, will do a better job, I think. But that should be it. So I would say these are pretty successful. You can. I bought these at David's Art Supply like 3 years ago. But you can check the description below for a link for where you can get your own. I hope this was helpful, useful, and informative for you guys, and I hope I'll see you guys again really soon. Bye, guys!